Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf and to another video about my 12 classics that I decided to read in 2023. You will find the full list of all 12 books down below. I pick one book each month, hence 12 books, and some of you read along, which I think is fabulous. And this month we read Our Nig by Harriet E. Wilson. See the subtitle, Sketches from the Life of a Free Black, and the book was first published in 1859 and is considered one of the first novels written by a black woman in the US, at least. Harriet Wilson was an activist, a spiritualist, also businesswoman of sorts, born in the beginning of the 19th century, and this book is highly autobiographical. It pictures the life of a girl. We start when she is a little girl, called Frado, Frado. I think it's Frado, but I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I've never encountered the name and I couldn't find anything anywhere. So correct me if the pronunciation is different. Our Nig, as she is not lovingly, please, called in the family that she works for later in her life when she is a teenager. So the book is highly autobiographical, and like I said, Harriet Wilson, she lived, by the way, quite a bit longer than the autobiographical character in her book, who dies young. But she didn't pursue a career as a writer. So this is, if I understood, in the Penguin Classic you have annotations and also an introduction. And what I learned from the introduction is that Wilson wrote this book to earn money. It's quite a short account. It looks big, but this is because of the annotation, everything. The book as such, Our Nig, is just 80 pages. So it's more a novella than what we would call a novel. The book is set in the antebellum North. So it published 1859, just 2 years before the Civil War started. And it is about the life of a black woman, not being a slave, but still working almost under slave conditions as a housemaid. The book opens with Frado's mom, Mag, a white woman she's poor and she has hit quite a bad streak, and then she finds a way out of her financial misery by marrying a black man who is in love with her, and they have a couple of children, and Our Nig, quote unquote, is one of them. So the first part of the book is about the mother, the father, the background, especially of the mom, and then hardship comes, or hits, I should rather say, once the mother leaves the family and never to return. Frado is then forced to work as a housemaid in the family of a white family, and is treated really poorly, abused physically but also mentally. So it's a life of hardship, and her health suffers, which is, I think, also autobiographical. If I understand the timeline correctly, Harriet Wilson was in bad health for a lot of times in her life, even though she lived until she was an older woman. So she didn't die as a young girl from illness or whatever. But the main portion of the book is about the life as a not slave, but almost slave condition worker for a family as a black young woman. So that's the biggest 2/3, I would say, of the book, is when she has to undergo this type of abuse. I find the book really interesting and important because it's a first-hand account of how the life of somebody not a slave, but a black woman was like in the first half of the 19th century, 1850s, let's say. And it's not a pretty picture. She is not sugarcoating anything, so you get a pretty good idea what her life was like, or the life of Frado, but as it's autobiographical, her life. So this makes this plus the fact that it's one of the first books of its kind, makes it an important historical document, and it's important to read it. And the detail, there's a lot of dialogue and detail of the life is really well done, I find. Another question that I ask myself is whether I would consider this a good novel. And I wouldn't really. Not the way we expect novels to be now in the 20th or 21st century. The book is mainly a factual account of what happened, interspersed with dialogue, like I said. So it's not an essay kind of account, but it's still, there is no story or plot other than that time passes. So she tells us about her mom, she tells us about her life as a child and then as a teenager, and it's just really very factual accounts, and then her life ends and the book stops. So what I and most of us, I think, expect from a novel, that you have a kind of story arc or, character development, something like that, that you won't find that in this book. So if she hadn't changed the names of herself from Harriet to Frado, it could be a memoir, and I think it would probably work better as a memoir, because for me, it actually reads like a memoir and not like a novel. But I don't want to be unfair in terms of, dissing a book that is important just because it doesn't commit to the structural requirements that we impose on novels. But I think it's also important to just look at it from a literary point of view and see how you feel about the book in that sense. So I think it's really, I'm happy that I read it. And like I said, I think it's really important and valuable, because I learned a lot in detail about that type of life that a woman in the 1850s would have as a Black free woman. And it's important because it also tells us that the life of a Black girl / young woman it's not only slavery that makes the life horrible. Even if you're not a slave, but if you're Black at that time, living in the North, not in the South, but in the North, still your life is horrible, because people are racist and you are abused and you don't have any rights. So that makes this book, I think, really important. And I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to diss this because it's an important book. But for me, as a novel, that's not why I think you should read it. You should read it because it's an important story and you can learn something, and not because this is a really, really good novel. So this is my take on our July read. I'm really interested, if you read it now or before, to let me know what you thought of it, especially in terms of, is it a good novel? And then we move on to August, and there are 5 months left, and that means that normally I would have 5 pieces to choose from, but as you can see, there are only 2, and that is because I picked the 2 translated works that are on my list to choose from, because August is Women in Translation Month. So I took the 2 translated works and put those cards in here, and I will pick one. The Pillow Book. The Pillow Book. So this is Sai Shonagon, translated by Meredith McKinney. It's an 11th century tale diary of a noblewoman at the Japanese court. And the other book, by the way, was this one, Christine de Pizan, The Book of the City of Ladies. So we will read that one later, but in August we will read, or I will read this one. If you want to join me, that is of course fabulous. Or if you are looking for one book for Women in Translation Month, you can pick either of those two, of course. And I will make the review video as always towards the end of the month, like I said, and probably around the 27th of August. So that will give you plenty of time to get the book in the Penguin Classic edition, or maybe Project Gutenberg if you want to read it. So this diary will be our August pick. Anyway, this was it for Classics number 7, Our Nig, the July pick of my 12 books of classics that I want to read in 2023. Thank you very much for watching. I'm looking forward to your comments. I'm filming this on Wednesday afternoon, 3:30, and I have about 50 comments left to answer, so I don't think I will be caught up when this video goes up this evening at 8 o'clock my time. But who knows, maybe I'm really fast, but I still have some work to do. So if I'm not caught up yet, I will be shortly, I promise. But I'm looking forward to your comment nevertheless, and I will talk to you all soon in the next one.